Herr Doktor Vrilock here. Alright, so I'm going to talk about psionics, the path to instant manifestation. Yes, wizards and witches transitioning from magician to psionicus to wireless psion. Psionics is the path to instant manifestation, commanding the power of an intimate level of control. For me, this started a journey going way back when I was a kid. But let's jump forward to a very unusual and dramatic event which really erupted the experiences of my life as a magician, as a person, as a soul. In 2014, when Super Typhoon Neoguri rolled up on the shores of Honshu, Japan, I realized that my prefecture, where I was residing overseas, was in for one hell of a prospective disaster of a lifetime. And I instantly knew that if magic were to save the day, I needed quick, near real-time results. And the detailed accounts of exactly how I accomplished this seemingly impossible feat is detailed and illustrated in my book, The Miraculous Prayer Board Guide. But to get this far into the game of working real world and real-time magic, there is a journey. And so the journey begins much like that scene in Star Wars A New Hope where Luke Skywalker is looking out over the horizon at dusk, and he's daydreaming of becoming a pilot, fighting the Imperial dark forces. Well, in my case, I was standing on top of a railing of a swing set in my grandparents' backyard, looking out over a wall at the vast stretch of greenbelt from a house plotted down in a California residential cul-de-sac. And so what was going through my mind at that time was a sense of wonder, essentially. And because my stepfather was overseas at a new job in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I knew that soon I'd be flying across the sea to go reside with him in the Arabian desert and start my life at an international school. Of course, as a kid, I thought this might be a grand opportunity for me to beg Grandma to let me stay with her and stay in California, right? But I wanted to challenge, and I decided, no, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this. And so we did. My initial experiences in the visible realm in America were, as I said, exacerbated while living in Saudi Arabia. The encounters erupted into just a full-blown awakening, and this had to do with the veil that resides between worlds, between that which is visible and that which is not. As well, how life isn't the sweet sticks cake factory that all the schools feed into our minds. Yeah, the various institutions of society, what you're up against from day one. I detail this in my Vrilock Practical Guide, The Metaphysics of Self-Mastery, and that's the first book. The Metaphysics of Self-Mastery, followed by the Miraculous Prayer Board. But the real transition from wandering, mystical, vagabond kid into an adult magician blossomed in my journeys into the mystical mountains of Japan. And this brings us to the third and final book in my journey, VPG3, and that is called The Wondrous Wheel. I know, the titles of these books sound like films. Yeah, it echoes and sounds like cinema in my mind. And indeed, these could be films. And in many cases, during these journeys, particularly in my youth, it did feel like I was in a film of some kind. And this led me to a new discovery of something called the Orlog. And I later learned about this when I was studying the runes. Well, in The Wondrous Wheel, this is the book where everything in my journey comes together to create something called instant manifestation. And I had written about this in another book called Kinetic Magic, where we talk about kinetic constructs and essentially turning the dark tide to light and success. The Wondrous Wheel. From that point onward, I mastered the various magical glyphs, elemental, Galder runes, some kanji, and even an ancient ninja writing system predating the Japanese writing system. I use these for things like servitors, necromantic radionics, and eventually variable machines. That which evolved into an area of radionics called conditional rates and spirit elective rates. All of this led to the doors of my mind opening to a vision which I followed to my ultimate invention of a new branch of psychotronics called psionic robot. Well, today I revisit many of the old training methods to keep up my vigor and psi strength. And this is why I always end my podcast in post with the phrase, keep the magic high. It is the heirloom of my psionics training. It is also the slogan applied to any ritual work I might do outside the scope of psionics or otherwise, and more often than not, integrated into psionics at a later point. Moreover, psionics never rest. My pursuits in psionics have led me to new dimensions of psychotronics, and this pursuit I call mind-machine psionics or psionics technology working in parallel to brain-to-computer interface technology, aka BCI, MMI. The latter includes working with EEG headgear, wearables, mobile phone applications, and MAGICK, and personal study and enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, right, Herr Doktor? I should say so myself. Well, I did say so myself. I'm going to include some photographs of my work with old school psionics, where I use the helmet in experimenting with improving reading speed, comprehension, retaining information from books. And in my personal trials, these experiments have worked very well for me. I'll also show you some pictures and images of my EEG headband, one made by Emotive, which has been augmented by my own hand with quasi-magnetron-like patterns, and these I fixed to the headgear with copper tape to key points on the device, which I'll explain in time. And we use this for sensitizing the mind to certain aspects of computers, machines, programs, and working with Bluetooth waves for short-range frequencies. This is particularly good for working with the crown chakra, studying the aura, and for training in new and secret areas of my research. I'm also experimenting in my free time with artificial nodes and so on, and I'll talk more about that later. For full comprehension, immersion into psionics, which is something a lot of people scratch their heads about, I asked my students, what is the most helpful medium through which you can learn everything I have to teach you? If we were to teach this to the rest of the world, outside of my inner circle. Time and again, my students have the majority vote on video courses. And though I recognize equal importance of ebooks, magicians and witches are busy people like everyone else, and so having ebooks and video courses combined with audible downloads, my students can go about their day wearing their headphones, walking, driving, traveling, working out at the gym. And this is something important to consider for my top clients and closest students. I assume most people outside of my circle are equally impressed with these options. If not, let me know. The important thing about psionics, ladies and gentlemen, and that psionics technology, and the training, indeed, is to establish the foundation of the work. Yeah, so I come at psionics from a certain angle that I find helpful and powerful and proven to work. So you need a seasoned psionicist, a magician, to start from the ground up with. I am here. My books are here for you. My training is here for you. And luckily, that ground-up training only takes 3 hours. And then you're done. After that training, in my Psionics Academy video course, you're ready to decide on your various wizard electives. Yeah, upgrade yourself. These could be things like electives such as runes, cryptomancy, necromancy, artificer's crafting, remote presence and soul keeper sorcery, or even going into the psionics robots. Maybe you're like me, and you're headed into brain-to-computer and artificial intelligence applications via remote influence and remote presence. I mean, you know what remote viewing is. You've heard of psychometry. We take this a step further. for these various pursuits, there are the video courses. Now, currently, these are 50% off on all video courses and throughout all of this November. And there are books for private study, ebooks at this time, audibles for convenience, and if you're very busy, take an audiobook with you. And then there is the club for psionic avengers, the real diehard fans of Herr Doktor, to never miss a thing Herr Doktor Vrilock is doing for our good friends in psionics and the world. So it is a journey, lords and ladies. It began with mine. Now the journey is yours. Join us. Vrilock.club to sign up and become a paid club member, or Vrilock.com for the newsletter and the shop. Video courses, ebooks, audibles, as well as rare reports and documents are waiting for you to download at Vrilock.com/shop. So, thank you for joining me, and to your next adventure in magic, don't forget, keep the magic high. This is Herr Doktor signing out.